starting without Michael?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start by reading the script for the remotely conducted open meetings. This is hopefully our last Zoom meeting for a long time, I hope. Okay, so we are using Zoom webinar for meetings, which allows the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to this meeting. The registration link can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for the meeting. People registering to be an attendee must use their names, otherwise they will not be allowed to participate in the discussion. Attendees will join in listening mode. They can click the raise hand button if they wish to speak. The chair, that's me, will call on those who have raised their hands in the order they were raised, and please give me some leeway with that because I may not notice right away. Someone will let me know if I do not notice. YouTube chat will no longer be enabled, and all questions, again, should be directed through me, Susan McCarthy. As a preliminary matter, it's Susan McCarthy, the chair of the Nantucket Zoning Board of Appeals. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lisa Botticelli.
Here.
Ed Toole. Kiram Kosayatak.
Yeah, I'm back.
Here.
I confirm it.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Jim Mondani.
Here.
And Jeff there is not on right now, but is available if we need him. And Michael hasn't signed in yet. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Eleanor Antonietti.
Here.
Okay. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative when I call your name. Please note, some of these people may not be logged in at the time I'm calling the roll call, and they may not log on, and there may be others who log on who are not on this list. Tucker Holland, application 30-19, Habitat Project.
Present.
Jerry Keneally, 30-19, Habitat Project.
Present.
Stephen Cohen, attorney for 41 Crooked Lane and 94 Quidnet Road.
Present.
Ann Swart, applicant for 94 Quidnet Road. Okay. Luke Thornwell, architect for 94 Quidnet Road. Not yet. Dan Malloy, surveyor for 94 Quidnet Road. Lisa Weisentanner, applicant for application 12-21 Nantucket Cycling and Fitness.
Here.
Rick Bodette, attorney for 25 and 27 Youngs Way.
Here.
And Jeff Blackwell, surveyor for 25 and 27 Youngs Way. Not yet. Okay. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment as previously noted. For this meeting, the Zoning Board of Appeals is convening by video conference via the Zoom app, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join in. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast will be recorded and could be rebroadcast. All supporting materials that have been provided to the members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We'll now turn to the first item on the agenda. Before we do, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business, and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. And please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking, again for the minutes. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please try to do so through me, taking care to identify yourself. And finally, each vote in this meeting will be taken by roll call. Okay. So we're going to call to order the regularly scheduled Town of Nantucket Board of Appeals Nantucket meeting for Thursday, June 10th. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does someone want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Oh, okay, so I'll have Lisa make it and Michael second it.
Good.
Okay, and for vote, Lisa Botticelli,
Aye.
Ed Toole,
Aye.
Michael O'Mara,
Aye.
Hiram Kosayatek,
Aye.
and Jim Mondani.
Aye.
Okay. The next item is the approval of the minutes. The first minutes from April 8th, 2021. I read over. I didn't have any questions or comments. Did anyone else have any questions or comments about the minutes and anything that they might have reported to say? So was that Lisa?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
They were short.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't see anything either.
Okay. So anyone else have any comments about the minutes for April 8th? No. Okay. Seeing that no one else has any comments, I'm going to do them. I guess I can do them together. I wasn't
do them separately because there were different people attending. So in May, you and Kieran were not there. Ed was there for part of the meeting, so different attending people.
Okay. All right. I'll do it twice. Okay. So for April 8th, would someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes as drafted?
I'll make that motion.
In a second?
Second.
Okay. So motion's been made and seconded. I'll just go back down through. So myself, aye. Lisa,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Ed, were you there for April?
Think so.
Ed, then say
Hold
aye.
on,
Yeah.
let's double check. I had the
I
packet
thought I
open.
was.
I
but
have it right here.
I think he was.
Where is
I
this?
think I was, but you should
Yeah,
check.
he was there. Yep. Okay,
Aye.
so let's see. I said myself, Lisa, Ed,
Aye.
Kieran,
Aye.
and Jim.
Aye.
Okay,
The only absent person was Michael at that meeting.
right. So for the May 13th minutes, I was not present at that meeting. So
Nor was Kieran.
yeah, okay.
So I'll just make a motion.
Okay, anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so motion's been made and seconded, and I will go down the list. So, Lisa,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and who else? 1, 2, 3. Do I have enough for that? Because Michael, were you there? Michael, you voted.
Yes.
Lisa, Michael, Jim, Ed.
That's
That's
enough.
only 4. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, Mark's not here, so.
So, okay, so 4, so that motion carries. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, so the first matter before us is old business. This is application 30-19, starts on page 13 of your packet. This is Habitat for Humanity Nantucket Incorporated. It's the Benjamin Drive project. Tucker Holland is here to present to us. It's for confirmation of a modification of a prior comprehensive permit. So Tucker, we'll let you have the floor and you can.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. So the reason we're here today is I think you all may be aware that Habitat for Humanity has been working very diligently to have all of their units, which they produce for home ownership for year-rounders here, included on our subsidized housing inventory, which is the 10% requirement of the state. And it's very exciting that the 3 units that are being or will be built at the Benjamin Drive location will be the first of the Habitat units to count on the SHI. And from there forward, all Habitat units that are created on Nantucket will count. So I really applaud them for the effort that they have put into making this possible. It took a while with the Department of Housing and Community Development, which is the arbiter of what is included on the SHI list, to determine the exact path for these particular units to be included. And ultimately, following this board's proper procedure with regard to the modification of the original comprehensive permit for the Myakomet Village project, of which this land where these units are being created is a part. Prior to the board's following, the public hearing and notification and proper process with regard to that modification, it came to light from DHCD, or they made the determination that it is kind of the 40B process by which these units will be included on the list. And they felt it was important to do a site visit, even though an original site visit had been done for the Myakomet Village project, and issue a project eligibility letter. And so they did both of those things in May. And so today we are simply here to have you confirm your prior decision, thus establishing the date of the eligibility of inclusion for these units to be a date that is following those activities by DHCD. I know this sounds a little complex, but that is the essence of it. And with your confirmation of your prior decision today, we will be in position actually not only to have these units included on the SHI list, but they will contribute meaningfully to our next period of certification. And we plan to submit for that certification actually tomorrow. So Jerry Keneally from the president of the Board of Habitat is here, who could also answer any questions you have. I'm happy to entertain anything you would like.
Okay, thank you. Jerry, do you have anything that you want to add at this time?
You back in 2019, you gave us the approval to modify the permit, which we were very grateful for. The process with DHCD took 2 years. It's been done. They had a good site visit. They were pleased with everything that's being done on the island. And they're just asking us, Tucker said, to modify the date. Their process, very state, it has to be, they give us the letter, then we go to the ZBA, which I don't understand how you could do that and not own the land, but it's done. And they're really just asking that now that they've given us the approval is to have a date stamp that it's been approved now. And they understand we were going back for a reapproval. But thank you.
I'm going to go down the list on the board and see if anybody has any questions. this time. Lisa, do you have anything that you'd like to ask Tucker or Jerry to explain further, or any comments on this?
I don't have any questions. It sounds like it's just paperwork, if I'm understanding it properly.
Mhm.
This is really housekeeping
Yeah,
that benefits the town entirely.
right.
Okay. Ed, do you have anything additional that you want to?
Well, I just wanted to hear that it was housekeeping because I voted against it from the onset. So if it's just housekeeping, that's one thing. So I can move
Okay.
forward.
Michael, did you have anything on this one?
No, I noticed they needed signed by tomorrow, so I assume that the chair can authorize this by her signature alone.
Yeah,
Well,
as you see, I'm sorry, through you, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
Sorry about that. Just,
That's okay. I was going to say exactly what you're going to say,
yeah, well, go ahead, then I won't speak for you.
but just that'll be part of the motion to allow this to be signed tomorrow by me.
Okay.
Get it moving. Yeah. Were you going to add anything else, Eleanor?
There is a hand raised in the attendees, so if Dahlia Rodriguez would like to say something,
Sure. Do I need to do anything on that?
go ahead,
Oh, I
Dahlia.
see.
Dahlia, you're able to speak now if you like. Hello?
Big butts and I cannot lie.
Oh dear. Never mind.
Okay.
That's what that was. Uh-oh, we've been hacked. My last meeting and we get hacked. How do I get rid of it?
I think she was in favor of it.
How do I get rid of it?
Okay. So moving
Oh,
down.
there you go. That's the first time that's happened and it's my last meeting, so.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Oh, Lord.
the only thing that's happened. Okay, so Michael, you've made your comment, I think, unless did you have anything, Michael, else that you wanted to add?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Karen?
Nothing.
Okay. And Jim, did you have anything on this one?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Right, okay. So so Eleanor, for the motion, do you want me to suggest the motion by reading, I was gonna read for the motion that would be suggested under Roman numeral 2 rulings.
Sure, that's fine. And then it should be the same people who voted on the decision if possible.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. So I think based on the numbers we have,
You have everybody.
okay, who
It's all
did,
the main board members voted on it.
okay, so it'll be me, Lisa, Ed, Michael, and Karen.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Okay, so so the suggested motion, and then someone can make the motion after I read it in. The suggested motion would be to grant the applicant's request for ratification and confirmation of the modification of a prior comprehensive permit granted in Zoning Board of Appeals file number 30-19 on December 12th, 2019, in order to allow the 3 units proposed for construction by Habitat for Humanity Incorporated upon lots 17B and 17C shown on plan number 2020-13 located off of Benjamin Drive to be eligible affordable units that shall contribute to the town of Nantucket's subsidized housing inventory. The board further moves to authorize the chair to sign this decision on its behalf. So would someone care to make that motion?
I'll do it.
Make it.
Okay, so I'm
Oh,
gonna,
go ahead.
I'll say Lisa made the motion and Michael second. Okay,
That's fine.
okay. And I will just go down the list. So myself, I, Lisa,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and Karen.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
And Eleanor, if I can sign it tomorrow, but if we have a decision ready, I could also
I have
stop.
it ready. I have it ready.
I could come by today on my way home if that
That'll be great.
makes it easier. Yeah. Okay. I
Thank
can
you.
do
And I'll get it to Tucker tomorrow.
Okay. Great.
Thank
Or
you.
Jerry should probably record it because it is Habitat to record it. But you'll have to file it with the town clerk, but I'll clarify that with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Eleanor. Thank you all.
Very
Okay.
much.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to move on to, I don't need to do anything about 621, right? Because it's continued. Eleanor?
Sorry, correct. Yes, you do not have to do anything. It's just kept on there as a placeholder.
Okay. So we are going to move on to new business. Our first application is 10-21, Brian Rice and Robert Goldrich, 41 Crooked Lane. Presenting is attorney Stephen Cohen for the applicants.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair and board. Before I start, I just want to thank Eleanor for her many years of service. She has been fantastic to work with, and I'm really glad that on her last day, she could be here to help me with my two positive motions that I'm sure the board is happy to give me on these next two applications. Thank you. And thank you for your smirk.
Yeah.
So anyway, more seriously, the application at 41 Crooked Lane is for a variance for a setback encroachment. This lot is just under 77,000 square feet in the R20 zoning district, which only requires 20,000 square foot lots. It could be 4 lots, except for the fact that nearly all of the land is wetlands and unbuildable. And if you include both the wetlands themselves and the 50-foot buffer, there's less than 3,000 square feet of buildable land on this 2-acre lot. So the existing house, which predates zoning, is as close as 3.6 feet to the front yard lot line. And the applicant, a prior owner of the same property, obviously, had come in back in 2012 and 2014 for an addition to the house to get permission to build as close as about 15.5 feet to the lot line. What we'd like to do now is take an existing garage and eliminate it and turn that into an addition to the house, because there's basically nowhere else to put the addition to the house. And that addition is would be eliminating a 214 square foot garage. And it does not require any zoning relief to do that. However, the applicant would like to replace the garage with a new structure that would be in the current driveway and would be as close as 18 feet to the front yard setback. So it's further back than the board has previously granted relief, and it's 15-ish feet back from the existing closest point of the house to the road. I think that basically covers it, and the Conservation Commission, we already asked them for a waiver of the 50-foot buffer, and they laughed at us and said, no, go to the zoning board. They did authorize construction between the 50 and the 100, but not within the 50. So we did try to seek that relief, and it was not granted. So based on the wetland aspects of this lot, which are unique in the zoning district, and because the application is providing for land that would, for a change that would not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, and because it's considered historically appropriate as approved by the HDC, we would ask the board to grant this relief. Thank you.
I just want to clarify. I looked at the two decisions. I think the two prior decisions were the same owners.
Oh, was it this owner?
Yeah.
Maybe it was. Yeah, I didn't represent them back then.
Okay.
So you may be right about that.
Okay.
You likely are. I'm sure you can read.
She's right, Stephen. Just
Okay.
own it, Stephen.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna go through the board and see what comments and questions you guys might have for either. Actually, sorry. Did before I do that, oh no, sorry. Okay, so Lisa, do you want to start with this one?
I'm not ready yet.
Okay, that's okay.
I'm gonna look up something.
Okay, Ed, did you have any comments that you wanted to start the conversation off with?
Sure. I have some questions. Steve, you said you went to the Conservation Commission and they laughed you off. Do you have some, not that I don't believe you,
Yeah.
believe proof of that? I mean, it seems that the other existing, this is probably all lawn and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. There's a house in front of it and a building way in front of it, almost in the wetlands. So it would seem to be, to me, it has almost no impact on a wetland basis. So I'm just curious. Do you have,
Sure. Ed, do you have the plan that shows that the 50-foot buffer basically goes through the house?
yeah.
Yeah. So as I'm sure you're well aware, you're not allowed to have any new structures within the 50-foot buffer without relief from the Conservation Commission, and they, as a general rule, are not really granting that relief except in extraordinary circumstances. And the those don't exist here from a environmental point of view, because the things that would be needed for a waiver for that bylaw don't really exist, but the things that justify it under zoning, I think, are more applicable to the situation.
But you didn't necessarily go to the Conservation Foundation.
The commission. No, we did. I mean, one of the issues that we deal with Concom is whether or not there's a space to do it outside of the 50. And basically, if there's space outside the 50, they essentially automatically say no. So getting a waiver to build at the 50, you basically have to have no area outside the 50. To build within the 50, you have to show that you have no area within the 50. Outside the 50, or that you're using existing footprint, and neither of those is the case here. And then you'd also have to do other things to qualify for the waiver, but without meeting that, you're dead in the water. And here we're talking about a new structure in which there is a location outside the 50 to build it. So.
Well, but the new structure or in this location doesn't meet zoning, so it's not just.
Correct.
So all I'm asking is, do you have an application to the Conservation Commission that was then?
Yes.
Yes, we do. There's an order of conditions that authorizes construction outside of the 50.
And I think what Ed might be looking for is the minutes that say, is that what you're looking for, Ed? Like just a discussion?
Yeah, something that this was discussed. I mean, this is one area, I'm sure, between the two buildings, and well, I'm not sure of anything. And I would just like some.
I think Art wants to hear on that.
I just saw that. So, Art, do you want to add to this discussion about what was presented to the Concom?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure.
I have the minutes in front of me from December 3rd. I filed the notice of intent application in November that included the structure within the 50-foot. And just to read you a couple of the comments from the Concom commissioners, Mr. Gold.
Before you go forward with that, can I just clarify about what was applied for? Because when you applied for the structure, I'm assuming you're referring to the garage inside the 50. Was that an expansion of the existing garage or a completely new structure that was just in the same location or in the same area the proposed garage is, but pushed backwards? Because based on where you're trying to add the 585 square foot addition, the garage had to move because you can't have both.
Is there a way for you guys to screen share the?
I have them. I can share them. Hold on. I just downloaded them. You want me to share the minutes?
No, I was curious about what got submitted.
All right. Let me see if I can download a packet that has.
I can send it if it would be helpful directly. I have the plan right here.
Okay.
It's a November 13th plan.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And then while you're doing that, do you want to read us the minutes that you were?
Sure. And to answer your question, Madam Chair, it was a standalone structure that was simply in the shell driveway, but within the 50-foot buffer zone closer to the other structure that's there. And I'll try to do both things here at once and just send this quickly to Eleanor and for the plan that was actually filed. But to the question, I believe that's on the table, yes, I had made both an application that included this structure. It was discussed and it was deemed essentially, not acceptable to the commission. And just give me 1 second if you would to send that to Eleanor. Make sure it doesn't just stay in my outbox. And then the minutes, Madam Chair, Commissioner Golding, as far as he's concerned, the 50-foot demarcation is pretty sacrosanct. He's not very sympathetic to their request. Commissioner Topham agrees not breaking the 50-foot no build line. Commissioner Engelborg agrees with Mr. Golding and Mr. Topham about work within the 50-foot without some offset. Chair Erisman agrees about approving new construction. Commissioner LaFleur, he agrees the 50-foot buffer is being attacked lately and should be preserved. So it's pretty much a unanimous, every Concom member. And we had worked to justify, as Stephen said, within the interest protected by the commission to obtain that approval. But we're, rebuffed.
All right, I have a quick question. What do you mean by offset? And one of the members said without an offset, he was against it. What does that mean?
My sense is that he was referring to some other mitigation, additional mitigation. In other words, to justify a waiver based on the provision for providing long-term net benefit. So essentially, you're going to give something more that would allow them to justify that.
Typically, the Conservation Commission is looking for a reduction of the encroachment in the neighborhood of 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 usually. So if you want to have a new encroachment, they like to see that net benefit by the significant reduction of the existing, which in this case would have required, removing the second dwelling or something like that in order to get the garage, which would be obviously a significant difference. The justification under the wetland bylaw and the justification under the zoning bylaw just look at completely different factors. And I think that the factors for justification under zoning seem to make sense here, and the factors under wetland protection don't. So that's when I suggested we come to you.
It looks like it's a totally different application. The proposed structure
much bigger, and you had the outdoor shower way, up to almost up to the 25. Was there an in-between step that was ever discussed about doing something different or no?
Madam Chair, if I may, if that was to me, I don't believe at that point. I think we heard them pretty loud and clear that it wasn't just the outdoor shower or the small infill addition. That the discussion was, as was pretty clear from those minutes, that just taking those two elements away was not going to justify the remainder of that structure that was within the 50-foot buffer zone. And so we went back with a new application, which is the one that Stephen referenced that we have an order of conditions for, which is for we reduced the size of the structure, to essentially just what they need, the owners need, in order to come to be outside of the 50 and come to this board.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I look at the locus map and I see that everybody is sort of, the setback requirements were obviously different at one point, and they've gotten the zoning changed and the setback is much further back now. So I get the request. It's just frustrating when another board deems their concerns more important than ours, I think.
Yeah, and I'm sympathetic to the inquiry, and I think that what the reason why we're asking the zoning board to grant this variance instead of pushing the Conservation Commission is that the factors for variance, I think, exist here, and because the garage would be much less close to the road than the existing structures, and because the lot itself has soils and topographical features that justify a variance, and because there's no negative impact in the neighborhood by putting it there, whereas opposed to the Conservation Commission requirements for getting a variance from a waiver, basically none of the justifications exist. So it's not that their rule is more important, it's just that the factors for justifying it seem to exist more in the zoning area than in the conservation area.
Well, I think because we don't know what the building looks like, there's somewhat of a question of whether or not there's a negative impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a single story garage, but.
Single story garage? Okay,
Right.
so we can limit the height of it?
Is that
And
correct,
this,
There's no HGC drawing, so we haven't.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You did say, Stephen, that this has been approved by the HDC already.
You know, I believe it's filed, but I'm not sure if it's approved. Let me double check that.
Because I think that we would be interested in capping height, and we may want to wait. If it's not approved, we may want to wait until we see drawings.
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to see the impact of the structure in the setback. I mean, I understand the perspective that it's going to be much further back than the main house. But I think it's the, are there any pictures of the house too? Like what it looks like from the road? Do we have any photos? It's hard to just look at this in site plan, not in context. So I'm just curious about.
I agree, because there's, you already have an existing garage.
That's coming down though, and they're building.
No, I know, but I'm saying it's, it's making it's an improvement to the property. I get that it's a new structure, but it's, I don't know. Just for variance, it's harder standard.
I think at a minimum, we need to see the plan and what the intention is. Is it truly a garage, or is it
A garage with a studio.
yeah, or whatever things morph to? I mean, the removal of the existing garage was 214 square feet. This is 384, so it's almost double.
And you're adding another 585 of living space in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's bumping the garage that just has that one little corner in the buffer zone. And you're trading it off for a garage that's going to be in the setback. That's an additional, 170 feet.
Maybe they build the same size garage and they pull it further out of the setback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12 by 20 garage, which is more than adequate for one car,
Yeah.
is 240 square feet. So this is 334. So I think we need more evidence, more information personally.
All right, let me continue down. Let me continue and see if anyone else has any comments, and then we can circle back. Michael, do you have anything at this point that you'd like to add or ask questions about?
No, but I like Lisa and Ed's idea of potentially swapping the garage from a 2-car to a 1-car and making the encroachment smaller. Other than that, no.
Okay. Karen, do you have anything you'd like to add at this point?
Well, since it's going to be continued, I probably shouldn't even vote on this. So,
Okay. This is your last meeting, right?
correct.
Are you retiring?
Yes, I'm going with Eleanor.
Are you and Ella? That's what I heard.
Yep. It's gonna be great. Got a lot of good
Following you
stuff.
too.
Yeah, we're eloping to Maine.
Okay, well, we can talk about that after we get through the
Yeah.
application.
So would the board be comfortable issuing an approval with conditions?
Well, let me get through the board first. Let me go to Jim and see what he might have to add at this point.
Always got to go for it, Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim,
I-
let's say you.
I agree with Lisa in that, it seemed like the Concom's decision was kind of a broad brush. We don't feel like granting anything within the 50 foot because we're doing it a lot type of decision, not specific. Ed brought up the point that it's just grass there. So what are the specific issues of the wetland buffer in this case? Because we have the same argument, right? It's, we don't have to grant it either.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically, Stephen, there's a hardship requirement. And can you address that? I don't see a hardship here of not granting this variance.
Well, I suppose that's a matter of, personal interest. This applicant has an 80%, on nearly an 80,000 square foot lot, which would be substantially more developable if it didn't have a massive amount of wetlands on it and the wetland buffer on it. So there's actually a substantial amount of restriction on the lot caused by that, those soil and topographical conditions, which are the basis of the zoning decision for a variance. And here they would like to have still a really modest house and a modest garage on a lot that could otherwise, without those conditions, be 4 half-acre lots. So the applicant would like to have a very small addition to the house and also be able to retain the garage.
Madam Chair, I know hardship is pretty broad.
Mm-hmm.
Requirement. If I were to vote on this, I would have a tough time in this case. In my garage.
I agree with Jim. We were saying a very small addition to the house. The house right now is 1,687 square feet. They're adding 585. That's a third of the house, right?
Yeah, I guess modest compared to the size of the lot, because like I said, it's a 4 times the size. It's a 4 times the size of the minimum requirement.
Right, but they did understand the restrictions when they purchased the property, I assume.
Right.
Which I think you make that argument with Concom too. There's got to be, there's plenty of room. That it's a big lot. They could.
So just if I could update the commission, I got a text from the architect who's confirmed that it is a 1-story garage. There's no apartment or studio above it, and that they'd be really appreciative if the commission wanted to approve a smaller structure of 12 by 24, which is 288 square feet. They could eliminate some of the extra space if that would be more acceptable to the commission.
Well, it's definitely more acceptable, but I think it's hard to do without drawings and a new site plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we'd want to see, if it's going to get smaller, we'd want it to move.
Yeah.
We want to see where it's going to.
I don't think we can do it without any drawings to reference.
Yeah.
Sure.
I see Art. Is your hand still up, Art?
Yes, Madam Chair, but I believe that Mr. Cohen just addressed. I was going to just confirm that the drawings were HDC approved. The footprint shown on the plan is 16 by 24, so it's not a 2-car garage. It had a little extra space for opening your doors, and then it will be bare minimum at the 12 that's been proposed. The 24 is really, what a standard sort of garage length is, with your car lengths between 18 and 20. And the height of the structure is 17 foot, 2 inches from grade. So I also think that I could perhaps shed some light on the wetland permitting process. The concerns that the commission often have are related to both footings and separation to groundwater and impacts, as well as additional impervious area for structures and the runoff that is caused from that within that area. So that's part of their reasoning for not allowing the structures within the 50-foot buffer zone.
Yeah, I guess the other concern that I have is, and Art, correct me if I'm wrong, but this building, essentially, you would enter from the street side. So even if we get rid of any excess space, it's not going to get any, the length of it is not going to change, right? We could make it less wide if we go from 16 to 12 feet, but it's still going to be the same 24 feet long, which is essentially, nearly the minimum for garage access. So I don't think that the change requested by the commission would alter the encroachment. The only real way to alter the encroachment would be to slide the building, I think it's south a little bit, so towards the house, which would enable us to maybe get, I don't know, a foot or two or three further from the street. So Art, am I way off base, or is that right?
If I may, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, that's correct. The reduction in length, in width, does not change the setback for the positioning of the structure off of the street line.
Unless you slide it over. One of my questions was, are you leaving the existing, so the existing shell driveway, that whole thing is going to remain shell, or is any of it going to revert to grass, since you're like, is it going to be shell behind into the 50-foot there?
That exists right now. I don't know if I haven't seen a landscape plan to necessarily change that. Mm-hmm. And there would be a slight expansion of the shell driveway on the road on the easterly side, right, to provide access to the doors.
Right. Yeah, I did see that.
So if the commission would be, the board would consider it, we can certainly slide the building south to the end of the existing driveway, which I think would pick up several feet of reducing the encroachment, and also reduce the building from 16 feet wide to 12 feet wide, which I think is a commission, the commission might be able to do without an additional plan.
And I don't think it's unreasonable to get it shorter either, front to back. I've done garages in less than 24 feet. I'm not saying it's ideal, but it can happen. I mean, you can get a 4-door Jeep into, a 17.5-foot long building.
Yeah, I think, so Lisa, you would know better, but I think under 20 feet, you couldn't get a conventional car.
Sure, I just said you can get a 4-door Jeep into a 17.5-foot deep building. There's 16.5 feet. You have to be careful. Doesn't offer a lot of extra space, but you don't need 24 feet for a garage.
No, I agree with Lisa 100%. I mean, I think that there has to be a slight read.
Yeah, so we could do 20 feet. And I think that if we did 20 feet, that would reduce the encroachment from 18 feet to 22 feet.
And then slide
it over, you'd have even more. So why don't maybe we should continue and let you guys massage this plan into something that looks, and then you'll also have the HDC drawings hopefully by next month.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I'm hearing from the board members.
Well, the HDC drawings are for the proposed, so they won't reflect this.
No, but it would give us an idea at least, and actually maybe some photos of the site. Right?
Sure. Okay, so we'll come back with some photos. We'll come back with the HDC approved plans, and we'll come back with the revised site plan showing the structure with a different volume or area, whichever one of those is the right word, and slid back a little bit.
Because I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, and again, I understand why you wouldn't necessarily want to do this as a homeowner, but I'm sure there are ways of working with the Conservation Commission to say, look, we'll get rid of all these other encroachments, or some other encroachments. Maybe this huge stone patio, we'll pull that back to maybe allow you to get a little program in the 50. But
yeah, they would never, I appreciate the thought, Lisa, but they wouldn't trade patio for a building. And if they did, they'd require, something much more substantial.
Well, yeah.
I don't understand this, and I agree with Lisa. I mean, again, it's existing shell driveway now, but as long as our artist stated that they said no, That definitely should be in the minutes. You should present that to us.
Yeah.
Plus a much smaller building.
And
than-
yeah, I mean, I am going to just respond to Jim's comment about the hardship. You know, I'm not sure I see it. I thought hardship meant something, I mean, it doesn't seem like a huge hardship to me, but that you want to get rid of the garage that you happen to have.
I think the hardship is created by the fact that so much of the lot is unbuildable. But I think that the board actually has been fairly clear in what might be approvable. So I think we'll come back with, we'll submit the minutes, we'll submit the HTC approval, we'll submit a revision to the size of the building and the location of the building and see if that works for the board at the July meeting.
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion to, is there anyone else who had anything else to say about this one? I didn't see any letters in the packet, and it doesn't look like there's anyone here from the public who wishes to speak about this one. Anyone else on the board have any final comments, or if not, we can move to someone making a motion.
I'll make a motion to continue to the July, what's the date?
I think it's the 12th. I think.
No, 9th.
9th, sorry.
The 9th hearing.
No, I think it's the 8th, sorry, July 8th.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong year. Yeah, July 8th.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Jim second, okay. So doing a roll call vote, myself, I, Lisa,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Michael,
Hey,
and Jim.
Aye.
So we will see you in July.
Yes, thank you. And I'm very sad to be losing Eleanor on this in general again.
Yes,
I know.
likewise.
Thanks, Stephen.
You're useless to me at the land bank, Eleanor. You're so helpful here. And
Yeah, I'm sure you'll come up there and ask you for help anyway.
Yes. You know, the customer service that you provide to the public is outstanding, and we will miss it greatly. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We were just, and then we'll move on to the next one, but Eleanor, we were singing your praises at town meeting. There was a group of us standing around, and Stephen was one of them, and we were saying what a great job you do. So we are all very sad to be
Freezing and singing my praises at the same time.
I might have been wrapped in a beach blanket at that point, but yes, freezing and singing your praises.
I had to get my son to bike a blanket to me from the house.
Yeah, it's cold.
What are you doing, Eleanor? Where are you going?
I'm going to the land bank to help out. Have a job there.
Nice.
Yeah, starting Monday.
Oh, you're not
No
taking
break.
any time off.
No.
Did anyone expect anything else from Eleanor?
I have 2 kids going to college. There's no such thing as time off for the next few years.
All right.
Susan, I've had a little medication mishap. I had to run. It'll take me 2 minutes
Yeah,
to
sure. Take your time.
get some an additional pill.
Okay, take your time.
Yeah, we're good. We'll just all praise Eleanor a little bit longer.
No. Let's talk about Stephen's next song and dance.
I think we need Ed for that one.
Yeah.
We can talk about Karam, who's moving on as well.
Yeah, Karam. Step up, Karam. Tell us everything.
There's nothing he's not going to tell us anything. Are you kidding? We never know where he is. Is that even really Nantucket, or is that just a backdrop?
Beach Road, 94 Clinton Road, Norcross. I'm just trying to orient myself on the next one.
I agree. We can
It's
talk
not
about.
marked on it's not circled on the GIS map, isn't it?
No, it was hard to. So Stephen, when we.
We'll wait.
We'll wait, but yeah, I did have the same.
I know the GIS is a little funky these days.
I see it now. I see it. I got it. The address is lit by the water.
It's not his fault the way it's weird because you will select it and then when you go to print it, it doesn't show up selected. So that's a defect of the GIS of late.
Yeah, it's the last lot on the corner before Quinnet Road. Yeah, or it's where Norcross and Quinnet Road connect.
Okay, so let's see, I'm just gonna pull up the drawing.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Did I miss any? I wanted to praise Eleanor too. That's not why I ran away, because
It's going to go on the whole meeting, so
You'll have plenty of opportunity.
opportunities. Okay, so we are going to move on now to application 11-21. Gregory Siemens Swart and Ann Cameron Kolb Swart, trustees of the Swart 2004 Trust. This is 94 Quidnet Road, presenting Stephen Cohen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This house, if you look at it, if you drive by it, it's sort of the iconic Quidnet house out there, and it's a historic home. And I will tell you, I represented a different purchaser of this property who did not end up going forward because they had a plan to substantially change the house, and we could not get through the HDC on that one. The HDC was pretty adamant that this house should never really change in the way that it presents to the public, and that anything that could be done to it would be extremely minor. And those buyers did not purchase it, and then the Swartz did, knowing that in mind, that they would only be able to make small changes to it. They were comfortable with it. They loved it the way it was, but would like to add a little bit to it. The house is about 922 square feet footprint right now, with a 675 square foot garage. So, it is a relatively modest house. It is on a lot that is with about 1,597 square feet of ground cover total, and that's about 21.7% ground cover, where 12.5% is allowed, or 1,500 square feet, whichever is greater. And the Swartz are only proposing to do a one-story, 142 square foot addition. It's a very, very modest addition, and it is in the interior part of the yard. It's not in a setback or anything like that. And the reason why this, even though the property itself is, substantially above the allowed ground cover ratio, it qualifies for a special permit under the bylaw and not a variance, because it's already pre-existing non-conforming. But in this case, the lot itself is a bit of an anomaly, because it's actually created by 3 lots that are bisected by paper roads, which have been in the yard sale process for quite a while, but because it's land court yard sales, they're taking forever, which I believe the commission is already aware of that process, sort of more generally. So there's actually a 6,299 square foot middle lot, and then a secondary 9,325 square foot beach lot, and then there's the paper roads themselves. So if you aggregated these lots, you'd have more than 25,000 square feet of lot area, and you'd have 3,128 square feet of ground cover. So it's essentially the paper lots that are creating the nonconformity here, or the paper roads, I'm sorry, that are creating the nonconformity here, where we would be at less than half of what's allowed instead of nearly double because of those paper roads. So what we are doing is asking for special permit relief to allow the existing nonconformity to increase from 21.7% to 23.6%, which is a 239 square feet in excess of the 1,500 square feet that's allowed, but would be nearly 1,000 square feet less than if these lots were aggregated, which will eventually happen when the yard sale comes into play, is completed. Does that make any sense?
So just to confirm, once the yard sale is complete,
Yeah.
well, this addition will be conforming?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, it'll be way under.
And where are they in the process, waiting for land court?
Yeah, land court. So it was started about 2 or 3 years ago, but it's going to take quite a while. And like I said, they're only asking for 142 square foot addition, and they'll be at about 1,739 square feet of ground cover aggregated between the two buildings of the house and the garage. So the house itself is 922 square feet, and adding 142 square feet to that, you're still at, a very modest house.
And both of the structures on the property predate zoning?
Correct.
And it's already over the ground coverage, correct? Right, by 97 square feet?
Yeah, it's already over the ground cover. Because of the paper roads, if you look at just the lot size of the existing lot, then you're at 21.7%. But it's it's over by, I think that Lisa, you did the math based on the 1,500 square feet. So
Yeah.
with that double checking your math, that sounds right.
Yeah, it exists at 1597 and it's allowed 1,500, so.
Yeah, correct.
Square feet over.
Yeah, so we're over by that amount currently.
And that's only on the property that it sits on. It doesn't include the other parcels minus the paper road.
The other parcels are essentially unbuildable due to, one of them is all beach, one of them is partially beach, and then in the 50-foot buffer. So there's no
But in
intent
terms
to
of
build.
the square footage, you're using just the property that it's sitting on currently.
Yeah, just the western lot.
And are they putting a basement under the entire thing or just under the new addition?
I believe the entire thing.
So are they lifting it? Because it's over the property line. If you look at the drawings, it's like over that property line. So I just want to be very clear about that.
They're putting a basement, Stephen, under the entire 2-story residential home?
I believe so.
I think your homeowner is here. Should we?
Yeah, I thought I saw her.
Yeah, I just saw her hand go up. Let's see.
Yeah.
Or maybe I thought I did. I don't know where she is.
There she is.
Oh, here, there you are. Okay, Anne, please, yeah, you can help us with that.
Hi, thank you so much. No, the basement is only under the addition and it's not even a full basement, it's just a mechanical room.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay,
Perfect.
great.
Thanks for that clarification.
Lisa, do you have any more comments for now or?
Nope.
Okay, then I'm gonna,
Thank you.
Ed, do you have any comments right now? Questions?
I do. Stephen, you have said that you're in the process to get the yard sale done and completed. So do we have evidence of that? Not that I don't believe you, but do we have evidence of that process that it's under? And why don't we just wait until it takes place and then you can do what you need to do?
Eleanor, do you want to pipe in about the process and where it is in the process on the town's end?
No.
No.
Yeah, I would not expect.
Yeah, Dan Malloy is on. He's the engineer. He might have an update.
Dan, do you want to give us an update on where you guys are at for the yard sale, please?
That sale was actually started before we purchased this property and I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. As far as I know, the plan was done by the prior owner and you bought two years ago?
Three.
Three, yeah. And I check in with Eleanor about these things every once in a while, and I believe that there's basically been no progress on this, and that it is super far down the line of the, I don't know, maybe 50 or 100 of these that the town is working on. And I don't expect it to happen anytime within some reasonable time period of, I'd be really impressed if it happened in 3 or 4 years, unfortunately.
It just seems super odd to me if you were pushing as an owner or an attorney that something would take 7 years to get done. If you're total.
Yeah, well, part of the problem is that we don't actually have the authority to push it. Only town council can, because the town is the applicant for these things with the land court. And I have one of these that's been waiting since 2008. So it doesn't, maybe I'm less jaded than you are at this point, but it's not unusual for them to take more than 5 years, unfortunately. But I would note that, again, this is a special permit application. I know I've been before the board with similar requests, at least 2 or 3. And in the other cases, I've been seeking variance requests, and the board has granted some of those and denied some of those. And here, this is a special permit request. So I would ask the board to just take note of that in terms of the relief and the standard of law that's applicable. The standard is really just whether or not it's substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, which I don't think it is, whether it's consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood, which the HDC has agreed that it is, and whether or not it's dimensionally conforming in other ways, which it is. So because we meet the special permit requirements, I'd ask the board to grant this relief.
I'm going to say that I don't have any issue with this. I don't feel like I need to wait for the yard sale for this. I think it's a very modest addition. It's 1 story. It seems approvable to me.
Even this one, do we? Oh yeah, we do. Let me finish going down through the board. Ed, did you have any more comments at this
I
time?
do have a question. Does the neighbor that the property encroaches on, do they have a comment about this? Are they aware of it? I mean, I know that you're supposed to be aware of it, but I mean,
yeah. I don't know if they have a representative on here, but I can tell you what I'm aware of. When we went through the HDC process with the other buyer, there was a great amount of interaction from the neighbor. They hired an attorney to oppose it, and they were very successful in that opposition. When we went through the HDC process here, they did not, they looked at what was being proposed and did not object to the HDC. I have been contacted by Linda Williams as their representative. They did not go through the attorney that they used last time. And Linda asked if it was possible to remove the encroachment. And I raised that with my client. And the response that I got, which I think is accurate, is 2 things. One is that encroachment, which is less than a half foot, is the only bathroom in the house. So it would be extremely difficult to deal with as opposed to some empty space. And it is also something that the HCC would be hesitant to see monkeyed with. So if we were lifting the house and moving it, maybe that would be something we could do. But I think trying to shave off that half foot would be quite impactful for the house, and not very and not viewed well by the HCC.
I completely concur with that.
I concur with it as well, but it just seems odd that I don't know, the neighbor has no comment, or that the applicant didn't get a positive affirmation that they were sort of behind this, if you will.
Well, having experienced that neighbor on a previous application on the other side of this building, I will say that he would be vocal about it, I would think, if he had a concern.
He is not shy in being extremely aggressively active.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the HGC drawings, it's barely, it looks like it's 14 feet tall or something. It's very low.
Eleanor, there was no mail on this one, right? I didn't see.
No, I did hear from Linda Williams, and I sent her the link, but she's not present, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, Linda wouldn't be shy of
She,
participating.
she would be calling every 5 minutes if she wanted to be on and was not able to get in. So I think if she wanted to be here, she would be.
Yeah. I think it would be a different story if it were a tall addition and if it were 2-story, if it were encroaching in the setback, then I'm sure then the neighbor would be very concerned about it, but.
And so would we, for that matter.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So, Anne, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear that I talked with our neighbors before we ever went to HDC. I showed them the plan to make sure that they were okay with it. And we emailed back and forth and they were fine with it. They understood that they know the house well and understood the need for that particular room to be added, and they were fine with it.
Okay. Ed, do you have any more questions or comments at this moment? Okay.
No.
All right, Michael, I'm going to move on to you. Do you have any questions or comments for either the applicant or the homeowner?
The only comment I have is that given the yard sale component, I think the board can support this application, and I'm prepared to do that.
Okay. Karen, do you have any questions or comments on this one?
None. Am I sitting on this one? I wasn't sure.
I mean, it seems like you can.
Why don't we just go ahead and have somebody else do it just in case?
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure. And Jim, how about you? Do you have any anything to add or questions or comments for the applicant or owner?
No, I agree with Michael on the yard sale thing. I know with other cases, we're very uncomfortable about granting these things when something's pending. But considering the fact they own the property on the other side of these, I think we can be pretty much assured that, it's going to happen if it's 8-10 years. So I'm okay with this.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience? I don't see anybody from the public that wanted to speak on this. There was no mail on this one. Any board members have any final comments? And if not, would someone care to make a motion? Lisa, do you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to grant the relief as requested.
Okay. And a
And do we
second?
want, and will it be, will the HGC be part of the exhibit or no?
Yeah.
Yeah?
What do you think?
Yeah.
This is what they presented to us, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you mean it's substantially in compliance with the HDC, approved HDC drawings?
Sure. Yeah.
Just a question about the motion. Are we voting on this as if it's non-conforming because of the yard sale pending? Or, do we fix this? Are we making a decision assuming the yard sale piece of it's going to happen, in which case it
Well,
would
if the
be,
yard sale piece, if they wait for the yard sale piece to happen, then they wouldn't need to get this relief. I mean, I imagine that if they wanted to do something else, they'd come back once the yard sale's approved, and then our special permit right becomes moot because they'll have the numbers
Yeah.
would make sense. So then at some point they'll probably come back to have, if they came back for anything else, they would want that special permit removed, right?
Yeah, no, so you don't have to have it removed. You can just not use it because permits are permissive. If you don't need the relief, you don't need to use
Okay.
them.
I wasn't making the motion based on the yard sale
okay.
happening. I was just sort of making it given the site, the fact that they are already, it's a special permit, they're already over the ground coverage. The addition is very modest, it's single story. And they do have all that other property that just happens to be split up by these paper roads.
I think we should try to craft it in some way to include those circumstances, because we have been pretty adamant in the past about not granting increases in ground cover that, increase the nonconformity.
I thought it was more when they were out of character with the neighborhood, you know, and I think when you, well, I'm happy to put whatever comments in there that you think is good, and I'm happy to include those. But this, again, it just seems like the amount that they're asking for just seems very respectful,
Yeah,
you know.
Madam Chair,
sure.
will Lisa amend her motion to include that the applicant will be diligent in pursuing the yard sale purchase?
Sure.
Okay, then I will second it.
Okay, so motion's been made and seconded. So I will do a roll call.
And if Susan, if you want to have the reasonings listed in the decision, just to say that, you know, there
Yeah,
was
I think they
a
should be.
thought put into this because of the specific conditions with this site. So it doesn't open the door to other people, then that's totally
And
fine.
the one thing we've done in the past, which we didn't do on this one, and I don't know whether I should even bring it up now, but you know, saying the ground cover ratio is consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. We're comfortable.
Yep, that's great, because I believe it is. And the scale of the architecture that they're proposing is in scale with the surrounding neighborhood.
So I think those are important to be included in the decision just for the reasoning.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because then someone across the street, let's say, who who wants a bite at the apple as well, can come back and say, well, you told them they could add a little addition. We want to add a little addition. I would rather not have it thrown in our face. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I like it tied to the yard sale.
Yeah, that's why I brought that up, Ed, because I think I know we haven't approached it this way with other ones, but we're kind of, there's a really good chance the yard sale is going to happen, and that helps me make this decision. But you're right. If it wasn't a yard sale situation, I don't know.
I don't think, if it wasn't a yard sale, I don't think we'd be doing it.
I agree. So I don't think we should try to.
You know what? I'm going to just withdraw my motion and you guys make a new one.
Okay.
Just to simplify, because we've gone around.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Jim. I don't want to open or whoever said it. I don't want to, or Ed, whoever said it. I don't want to.
Can I suggest something? I don't know if the motion needs to change. I think you're just talking about the reasoning that goes into the decision before you before the motion is granted. And I think in this case, it is right that you don't necessarily want to make it so that anybody can come in and say, I want that too. But I think, sort of Michael and Jim make the point that there are so many unique circumstances here that it would be difficult for a neighbor to come in and just say, well, I want what he got, well, or what they got. But in this particular case, you have both a historic home with a existing overage, and we're asking for an extremely minor increase, and the lot is actually 3 or 4 times bigger if you take out the paper roads. And I think it would be difficult for someone to recreate those circumstances. I don't know that any of the lots recreate those unique set of circumstances.
Yes,
and if someone did, and they came in with a teeny tiny addition on a historic home with whatever, you'd probably give it the same position that you're doing with this one. So I think that we could load up the reasoning to create as much distinguishing characteristics as you want, so there's less fear of, or less concern about someone coming in and trying to wave it in your face, if that works.
Yeah, so I think Lisa's motion is fine, that Michael seconded.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
with Michael's addition that they're going to work diligently to get the yard sale.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, not that that I understand it might be a little too easy to discontinue an application that might take another 3 or 4 years once you get the approval. So that's the last thing we want to happen here.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, and I can easily agree to it because it's the town that is going through the process, not the applicant. Is that correct?
That's correct, Ed.
The applicant is a party in that transaction.
Well, they're a party, but
Yeah, we're not. The town is the applicant. We're just waiting in the wings.
Yeah,
but that's
that's
true
right.
of every one of those yard sales, isn't it?
Yes.
Correct.
Why do some move much more quickly than others?
These
So,
land court, the ones that are registered land versus unregistered land. If you're registered land, you need land court approval, and that's just a big backlog.
the land court ones, the engineering department was closed for a year. There are staffing issues at town council's office, and there are, just technical details. So, and the town has, I think, more than 100 of these pending. So it has just been, glacially slow. But I don't know anybody who's not happy to get it at the end. So we'll wait for it diligently. We'll press diligently. I do know that Vicky Marsh, who's the attorney at town council's office, is working on this, has had, I don't know, 3 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 of them just pop out of the end of their end lately. So she seems to be having some success. So hopefully we'll get that notice soon. But at this point, I think that this, as Lisa's motion suggested, this one's justifiable without waiting. Thank you.
Okay, so do we want to vote on Lisa's motion? Michael seconded with Michael's addition that the applicant agrees to work diligently to encourage the town to follow up or whatever, move forward. And then have the decision loaded up with all of these distinguishing reasons. Do we feel we're ready to vote?
As long as Lisa is prepared to bring vitality back to her motion.
I am. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will stick with my second.
Okay. Okay. So I will go down the roll call. So if you're in favor, say aye. Lisa?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Susan? Nay.
Thank you. I appreciate your support.
Great. Okay. So our last application today is 12-21 Weisentanner Incorporated, 25 and 27 Youngs Way. It's lists Weisentanner as presenting, but I believe Rick Bodette you're presenting, right?
Indeed. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to take a moment to praise Eleanor. It's a big loss for the town for you guys to lose her. She's been great help to us and I think to you guys. So thanks a bunch, Eleanor, and best of luck. I won't make any bold predictions like Cohen did about the outcome of this application, but I am glad that Eleanor's here to witness one last severe beatdown at my expense. Rick Bodette for the applicant, Weisentanner Inc. As you can see, Lisa is also here with us today and filed the application on her behalf. The property is 25 and 27 Youngs Way. It's in the C-Tech zoning district, and it has currently the benefit of a special permit issued by this board in 2012. And the reason we're here today is we're seeking an amendment to that special permit. Specifically, as shown on the site plan, Lisa is seeking permission to add a 30 by 60 turf area on the rear of 27 Youngs Way, next to the building that's there currently. And that's to allow patrons to spread out a bit and have some outdoor classes out there. It's critically important this summer to have this, though I will add, contrary to what I think it said in the staff report, we are seeking to have this be a permanent fixture at the facility. Lisa is looking to have classes there, 1 to 2 classes a day during the morning hours, 8:30 to somewhere around 8:30 to 11:30, and obviously is willing to limit the specific hours of that. We are obviously seeking that amendment. That's the crux of the application, but there are a number of housekeeping matters as well relative to the original special permit. The first request is to eliminate the need for a loading zone. As I think all of you know, the loading zone requirements were eliminated after this application was filed in 2012. Given that this site isn't really serviced by a lot of deliveries that wouldn't otherwise be covered by, say, a FedEx or UPS truck, it doesn't make a ton of sense to require that. We also want to eliminate conditions 6A and D, which are relative to the parking on 27 Youngs Way that was previously not owned by Tanner Inc. And so they required a lease and a special permit to park over there. They now own that property, so those conditions are relevant. We did ask for a number of waivers in the application. The first was open area. And the reason we asked for these waivers is because they didn't have a site plan to start with, didn't know if they would need them. The first was the open area. It turns out, as you can see from the site plan, they do have the required 20% open area, so that is obsolete. We don't need that waiver. We also asked for a waiver, a parking waiver to the extent necessary. That is not necessary. There is a bit of a snafu with the last application. It stated that there was an occupancy of the building of 53, which then of course drives the required parking on site. It turns out the certificate of occupancy only allows an occupancy of 41, which means with employees included, we only need 16 parking spaces there. We have 19 now. We're proposing 18 along with this turf area, which would eliminate 1 parking space. So again, we don't need that parking waiver either. We're providing sufficient parking on site. We also asked for a waiver of aisle width. I think that probably should remain. If you look at the site plan and you look at, for instance, space 1, you can see that technically, if you reverse out of space 1, you probably don't technically have a straight aisle width. You have, you're backing into the entrance. So I think we should keep that waiver request. And then finally, we are seeking, there's a condition in the original special permit saying that the windows in the facility will be closed when it's open, when the facility is in operation. And we'd like to remove that condition as well, particularly seeing as we're looking for outdoor class space. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense, particularly again this summer. People are going to want some circulation in the building, and it again is, I think, obsolete if the board is inclined to allow the turf area to exist. So that, I think, is everything we are seeking to change and request additions to the special permit for. I will note that you have a couple of support letters in your packet, which is nice and very rare. And I think that's really a testament to how Lisa runs her business and treats her neighbors. So we're happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you.
I have one question. Is the proposed turf area going to be used simultaneously with classes that are happening in the building, or
In place of.
Yeah.
in place of?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. What Lisa has said is that we don't plan to increase occupancy. In other words, if the occupancy of the building is 41, there's not going to be 41 people outside and 41 people inside. And I think, from a functionality standpoint, you have to be careful about that, right? Because if you have a class scheduled outside and the weather changes, you're going to have room to move that class inside. People pay for it and people reserve it ahead of time. So, it isn't that we're increasing capacity at all. I think I think Lisa can maybe answer the question, but I think it's possible there would be a class inside and maybe a class outside. But again, it's not, the idea here is not to increase the amount of people that are on site at any given time.
So
Which
41 will be the occupancy of the site, not
Of
just
the site, right. And I think, the fact is that would affect parking as well. So
Right.
just functionally, it's not going to
that was
be a
my
good idea to do
that
that.
was my question, was just clarifying that because how many people, Lisa, are usually in a spin class? 20 people?
Well, we're down to 16 now.
Okay.
So the reason for requesting the outdoor space is that typically our fitness classes, so our building is set up with the fitness room downstairs and our cycling room upstairs. And cycling is not as popular as our fitness classes. Within our fitness model, we have two types of classes that everything generally falls under. One are high intensity options, and one are more low intensity options. There's very little crossover between the high intensity clients and the lower intensity clients. So our ability and the most popular time slot is 8:30 and 9:30, which is when most people want to come. This allows us to run a low intensity and a high intensity at the same time. There would not be a cycling class at the same time. Parking has always been something that we're super conscientious of because there is no street parking on Young's Way. And I feel like we've always been extremely respectful of that with a couple of clients that didn't know that was visiting, but we've always had them move into the parking lot. But predominantly, this helps us build revenue in a way that makes more sense for how we can build back what we've lost over the last year.
Okay, thank you.
And is it, if I may, Madam Chair, is it fair to say, Lisa, that there aren't going to be any equipment classes outside, that it wouldn't be spin class outside, for instance?
No, absolutely not. And I'm super conscientious of not being disruptive to our neighbors. Everything we try to present here at the studio is about making people feel good. And if it doesn't feel good to what our neighbors are doing, then it just doesn't feel right for us to do as well. We will not do, we're happy to agree to having no music outside. We pretty much want to do body weight. You've got jump ropes, some minor equipment, but nothing permanent, nothing loud, nothing that makes noise.
Will not be someone, you, an instructor, barking loudly at somebody else. They'll just be quietly told to do whatever they need to do.
We'll use our best motivational, quiet indoor voice.
Okay. Not that we can make that a condition, but
well, we can say no. Like in spin, if they use a microphone, we could say no microphone outside for the instructor, just natural.
Right. No amplification of any
amplification of music or sound or whatever. And I think
that definitely shouldn't be any amplification of music.
Ed, are you looking for a job?
I may be, but it's going to take me another couple of years. So Lisa has nothing to worry about.
Rick, I have a question. Is it now one lot? Have the lots merged?
Just by virtue of the special permit, technically that they've merged for the purposes of this use. They're big enough to be separate lots, but if Lisa wants to run this facility, she needs both lots. So to answer your question, they're pretty much merged, but they could be unmerged if she wanted to put something else there, I guess.
we could say, Jim, that I think I know what you're going with, but I think we could say that the use of the outdoor physical fitness is tied to the primary use on 25, right, which is the fitness.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of overthinking this, I just if they remain separate lots and down the road things change, and you sell off this lot, suddenly now you don't have the restrictions on the primary lot. And I just want to make sure that doesn't happen.
I don't think they work though if they're not together, because for parking, like she wouldn't have I think she wouldn't have the parking on the, like she needs both to make it work. But I get what you're saying, and we could definitely certainly make if the outdoor use was to be approved, we could craft the conditions such that it's, secondary to or tied to the primary use on lot 25.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I think
they do stay separate lots though. I mean, is that right?
I mean,
Separate
sorry.
buildable lot. Sorry. Go
I think
for
I
it.
can answer it. I mean, first of all, I think you can put any condition in that makes Jim feel comfortable about it. The current conditions that exist, Jim, are relative to them being two separate lots, right? Because Lisa had to lease the second lot, 27, from another owner and couldn't operate this property without that lease. And eventually they bought it. So, I mean, they are technically two lots, but she can't operate the first lot without the second lot and vice versa, because they both need the parking is really, so it, functionally they're merged, but technically they're two different lots. She could sell the lot to someone else, but it's not going to do anybody much good, particularly her.
Yeah, unless the fitness studio were to go a different route and not need so much parking.
Yeah, that's why my thought is that if you sold that other lot, this is hypothetical.
Sure.
Suddenly now there's the parking requirements not there that was there before, right? Or is it still applicable and I got to figure it out another way?
Yeah, I mean, as an example, they sell that other lot with the turf on it. They're going to have to lease the one next to it, the other one next to it, or something. They just can't operate without. It requires a lot of parking, so they can't operate with just one. And again, as Lisa said, unless something changed, in which case, no matter what, they're going to be sitting here in front of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I comment?
Sure.
I am confident that Lisa runs a tight ship, but I'm a little hesitant about the outdoor workout space down the road. What if somebody else takes over and Lisa sells the property to another operator and they're not quite as nice to the neighbors, if you will.
Conscientious.
Considerate.
That's the word I was.
They're playing the heavy metal. They do the heavy metal high intensity workout.
Yeah.
At 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you make it. I mean, haven't we tied it to a particular business before? Relief.
I think we have. So
I have seen that before.
If I needed a new job, a new project, and wanted to do it, I would have to come and ask permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's been that existed out at Millie's, and we had to come in and ask for a change of ownership.
Right. Yeah, that way you can condition it to specifically to what the new group is going to do as their business model. Which you're right, might be very different.
You could modify condition D, just to sort of adjust the language. That should the property be conveyed or lot 27 be conveyed, that the operation approved herewith shall cease or something of that nature.
Right, because it only has to be for that lot because that's where the outdoor turf is.
I
think you'd want to say both lots, wouldn't you?
Well, indoor activity won't be the same nuisance that ostensibly the outdoor activity might be construed to be with a less conscientious operator.
Yeah, but you could, I mean, if that's what you're trying to do, like, then what if, like Lisa could sell 25 and lease 27. We might as well just put them both. I'm gonna do one, I think, but one person.
I would like to see the two actually melded in to one to operate like this now that you have the opportunity, but maybe
I
that's
don't think we should do that. The
no.
two lots, try to combine them. I think they're two separate buildable lots, and that's a huge value to Lisa if she, if we
Well,
meld
that
them.
value wouldn't go away because you'd be able to.
Unless zoning changed.
Yeah, I think just personally, I think that's a bigger picture issue. I mean, I think it's been a strategic, if you own two buildable lots, I don't know, I don't want to mess with that. I don't feel comfortable with that.
I agree with Susan on that.
And I think it's sort of self-policing too, guys. Like I said before, I mean,
yeah,
they're going to be sitting in front of you if they want to sell one of these lots separately. No one's going to buy it without releasing certain conditions if they, because they are tied together. They're applied as one. The special permit affects both lots. You know, Lisa could change the name of the owner of one of the lots to Lisa as opposed to the corporation. But the fact is, they're really tied together by the special permit. I mean, there's no changing that until someone comes to you to ask permission to change it. So,
Lisa, what about for the turf? Are you going to plan to operate that year round outside? Is it just seasonal? Do you have any thoughts about that? I don't think it was addressed in the application.
My plan would just be have it be seasonal. Weather permitting. I can't see anybody wanting to be out there in the snow. I don't want to be out there in the snow.
Michael, do you have any questions or comments on this one?
No, I should have mentioned this earlier, but Rick started off on his presentation and I didn't get a chance. I am not on the abutters list, but I'm very close to the abutters list. And I think it was properly done. So the only thing I mention is if somebody else wants to sit on this, vote on this, I'm fine. But I don't have any problems with it.
Are you talking about the Key Post Corner?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with you.
Okay.
On it.
My concern is that we simply have enough safeguards in the decision so that it doesn't become the quiet, no amplification music, you know, that we protect the neighborhoods, the neighbor.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, particularly because I think there were some concerns with one we did recently in terms of noise.
Which one was that?
Fairgrounds Road, the yoga room.
Right, I didn't sit on that.
I think that's a different. I didn't sit on that one, but the makeup of that neighborhood those neighbors is a little different.
It's full residential.
Yeah, it's full residential over there, and there are businesses on that side of the road. There might be apartments above, but I think it's businesses pretty much down the whole road. What?
They're both, I think, residential and.
Well, Michael.
Yeah, I think there's some apartments above, but I'm saying like the other side of the road, I think might be more residential, but the odd numbered properties, I think are mainly commercial on either side of her is what I'm saying.
That's correct. South side of the road is residential.
Yeah.
The north side is both, and the adjacent property to the north of that is being subdivided for residential and commercial.
Well, Lisa's agreed to have it as part of the decision, I think, correct? It just that we're gonna keep it tame.
Yeah. Did I get to everybody to talk? There were two letters of support one in the end of the packet, one in the end of the or in the end of the application, and one in the end of the staff report. One of them, I believe, was a direct neighbor to the business, both in support. And I don't see anybody in the public who wanted to speak on this one. Oh. And hopefully not that person again. So did I get to everyone? Did everyone get to make the comments that they needed to, or get their questions answered that they had on this one?
Well, I'm curious, Susan, do you have any comments on it?
I mean, I think I've kind of interspersed mine. I think I was interested in the question, I don't know if it was you or Jim, or someone had about how the total occupancy was going to be handled. So, whether it was, and that seems to be, it is the certificate of occupancy says 41. I thought it said 43 in one of the things I was reading, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the certificate of occupancy is, whether it's
43.
It's 43.
43.
Includes
Okay.
employees, sorry.
Oh, right. Plus employees. Okay. So like that number rules, and yeah, that was my only point of clarification I wanted. And again, whether it was planned to be seasonal or all year.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really it for me on the conditions that were being changed. And so, Rick, the one about the windows and doors closed while the building is in use, you are modifying that or removing that? Asking to.
Well, I think we're asking to remove it. I don't know how you modify it. I mean, they're either open or closed, right? So I think we're asking to remove that because we think it's, generally obsolete, particularly if you're going to allow us to have classes outside.
Sorry, it just said modify in the.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine, whatever.
Lisa,
I guess you're modifying it by removing it. Fine.
To a large extent, did you, I don't know how to put this delicately, but did you keep the windows and doors closed in the past?
So the only time that we would have, so I think when we first originally applied for this, the building is built and it's got 2 large sets of like big barn doors. And I think those doors were the concern. And we don't ever open them. They never have been opened. It's our front door, like the entrance in and out of the building. And then there's a side door, entrance out. So, I mean, we've opened it for circulation, especially with COVID not being able to use fans. But not typically it's the big barn doors, I think, were the biggest source of concern because they would open. So they're like garage size doors.
And the barn doors, are those used for like, I imagine they're a wall in the gym, so they're.
Correct. So when we built the building, my business was relatively new. So the thought was if my business couldn't sustain that this building had a reuse purpose with the loading, big garage doors, that it was just kind of thinking of down the line. And for aesthetics, the wood barn doors looked much nicer than having like garage bay doors. But that was the purpose of having those big doors there. But the doors we don't open them.
So that could remain as part of the condition.
Well, we could specify for the barn doors, but I think we don't have to say that she can't leave her front door open because the front door is just like, I mean, do we have a copy of? The front door is just like a regular front door, right?
Yeah, the front door comes into our entryway.
Right. It's pretty separated from the other spaces.
And like when the weather's nice, it's nice to be able to have fresh air, easy for clients coming in and out.
Yeah, my concern is purely noise. I mean, when I work out in the basement, I'm just listening to some book on tape or something. But occasionally it's loud. I'm kidding. Occasionally it gets loud, and yeah, I don't know. Is that how? I assume your classes are sort of high octane and.
Well, I guess we could ask, like, Lisa, have you ever?
Yeah, there's never been.
Do you have any noise complaints or people complaining about noise?
No.
Right. Because it's been operational. The building has been operational for so long with no issues.
Right.
So it just seems. It doesn't seem like.
We have to be able to talk over the music. We don't wear microphones in our downstairs classes. The building was specifically built for the fitness and the cycling studio. So the walls were sprayed for noise and vibration to help minimize that. So even with our spin classes where we do wear a microphone and the music is louder there, it's not heard on the outside of the building.
Okay. No one else has a thing with it.
But you're welcome to come and join us for a class so you can see what it's like.
I'm just getting back to it. Maybe I will, though. Maybe I will.
Anytime.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion, or do we want to try to go over should we try to go over the conditions first?
I think we should go through it, and I'm not saying I want to, but.
Okay, it seems like in the staff report, there's kind of two lists. So from the existing special permit, we want to remove, so the original, or amend the prior special permit, which was file 037-12. And so we want to remove condition A for the lease, because that's not relevant anymore. Condition B is going to remain in place for the hours of operation from 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. We're going to request would be to remove condition C that requires that the windows and doors shall be closed while the building is in use. And remove condition D, because again, there's no lease.
You could add a condition that says the locus will be in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the application, which is on page 228 of the packet.
Okay.
Also, a condition for the hours of operation for the exterior turf area.
Oh, right. Okay. So let's say we could modify condition B to say the hours of operation for the interior of the recreational facility shall be 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and for the outdoor turf area.
Was it 8:30 to 11:30? Or what?
Does that give you enough wiggle room, Lisa?
Yeah,
like,
whatever you guys requested.
And while you're here, I mean, I know I think you have a class that starts at 5:30, but for hours of operation, like if she has an employee who comes in to like get ready for the day, do we just want to leave it as it, like there hasn't been a problem so far, just leave it as is?
Are you asking, you're asking specific to the turf, Susan? Sorry.
Well, I'm just saying while we're here and we're doing housekeeping, it says the hours of operation of the recreational facility shall be from 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. I don't think there's ever been an issue. We've never had to address it that I'm aware of, but while we're doing this, does it make sense to say 5:15 to give some, or 8:40 to 8:45 to give people?
They didn't ask for that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's leave it the way it is. I just wanted to clarify what you were asking for hours of operation for the turf, just to make sure we get those times.
I'm not clear on that. When are the hours for the turf?
I believe it was 8:30 to 11:30 was what was being requested, correct?
Yes. So typically our classes run 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. I'm not sure. This year, everything is kind of seeing what the ebb and the flow is of attendance. We have the ability within our reservation system. We have probably about 95% of our reservations are advanced reservations through an online source. So we're able to kind of gauge and see where the most popular time slots are. The ask for the wiggle room was on the chance that we do have a class that fills up, and kind of not on a regular basis, we want to add a class that helps with overflow on the outside of the building. So typically 8:30, 9:30, and 10:30 are the most popular time slots that we would be looking to utilize. We wouldn't be utilizing all of those in every single day, but I just wanted the ability to have that wiggle room to pick.
Yeah,
And
so I
if
think 8:30
instructor-
to 11:30 is good, right?
Yeah, if instructor setup needs to be included in there, then requesting earlier than 8:30 would be ideal. I don't know if that's necessary.
I don't think that's
I don't think it's necessary. They're pulling out some
Yeah.
equipment. No, I think it's when the class starts and there's the, 19 attendants or 15 attendants, that's when you have to. But I'm happy to go from 8 to 11:30 as well. I just want to have it defined in the special permit. Whatever you decide.
Susan,
What?
I have a question about the no lease requirement. If the two lots remain in separate ownership, just from a technical standpoint, wouldn't you need to have some sort of lease agreement to, obviously within yourself, I mean, within the same business, but I don't know.
I don't think,
Really
I
a
think,
legal technical thing.
I think I think that's more of a question for, if they're owned by the same Weisentanner Inc., or whether it's leased individually or whatever, I think that's more of an internal, and Rick, you can answer this too, but I think this is more of an that would be more of an internal question for like Lisa with her accountant of how she accounts for that, right? I mean, I don't think it's as, I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's.
I think Ed is technically right. If they were in different ownership, technically Weisentanner Inc. would need a lease from the other owner, even if it was actually Lisa. Having said that, you have to provide parking on your site for your business. The reason they needed a special permit last time, a separate special permit, was because you're not allowed to have parking, off site unless you get a special permit. That's why they got a special permit on a lot they didn't know, but now they own it. So they don't need that special permit anymore.
They own it, but they're not, well, they don't necessarily own it if it's Lisa individually and Lisa as a business. That technically you don't own it together. So that's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't you leave the lease in place?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I might have confused you. It is all owned by one entity. It's all owned by Weisentanner Inc. I was just sort of using it as an example of if Lisa owned it individually. So
okay,
forgive me.
But this will be owned as one entity.
Yeah, sorry. And it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. It's easy to confuse me these days.
We did a lot of contingencies there. Like,
but it doesn't have to be. That's what I was kind of getting at too, Ed. And I was just, I'm sure Lisa's going to run this well, but I looked down the road and it's two separate lots, and I was just that's what I was getting at, some hypothetical where suddenly now the reason for the special permit conditions are gone, and someone's able to do something that we didn't intend. That's all. So yeah, it's a little tricky because they're keeping it two separate lots.
Yeah,
it's more down the road, not how it's being used right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact is we're kind of talking about it, and I hope I didn't confuse anyone. Yeah, we're talking about hypothetically. I mean, it is two separate lots, but I mean, keep in mind, guys, all those houses on Tom Nevers East. You have a house on what is effectively about 14 lots, right? They're tiny little 2,000 square foot lots mashed together, and it's used as one lot. They are all separate lots, but you can't use them separately. And that's what, like, to your point, Jim, that's what makes them really effectively merged. Now, these are big enough to be separate lots, but again, I think as a practical matter, there's no certificate on record saying they're merged, but the special permit does that. And we can't operate one or the other without that special permit. So anyway, I think it's kind of a
those lots. I'm curious, the lots in Tom Nevers that you describe, they're separate. They haven't been melded. If I had
they're melded as a matter of law, just like the special permit does on these. I mean, they are, but they're all, in other words, when you buy one of those houses, you buy lots 455 through 475. They're referenced as different lots, just like these two lots, right? But these
Well,
two
they're
lots have
referenced
to be used
differently,
together.
but they're one. I'm not going to get in. You know it better than I do, but I'm just curious. It's purely a technical matter. I mean, I guess I would, if I were the owner of two separate lots, I might want to keep the ownership separate, but and you'd have the lease in place and blah blah blah. But maybe this is just much easier for everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
if they are, and I'm just kind of checking here on, maybe I can put your mind at ease completely, because when it changed to CTEC, what's the requirement in CTEC in terms of the lot area?
10,000.
Yeah, so
they're compliant.
Yeah, so these, I guess they are compliant. They are big enough. Yeah, sorry, I thought maybe they were merged just because they're smaller anyway, but.
I mean, we can do two things, I think, to alleviate the concern, maybe, is tie this to Lisa and Weisentanner Inc., right? That this is, and if the ownership changes of one or both of the lots, then that new owner or Lisa would have to come back before the board. Or we can keep condition D and that's just something that Lisa will have to manage on her own, coming up with that she'll have to have a lease either with herself, through the company or whatever to facilitate that, keeping it separate or not, or alleviate that concern.
I feel like Eleanor's suggestion about the site being in substantial conformance with the site plan, which again shows both lots, might take care of it. I mean, you guys can do what you want. I think any of those options, Susan, are fine with us. I mean, I don't think it's going to be an issue either way, but I do think that, we have to use them together. And if the special permit specifically says they have to be used together, which I think is not necessary, but you can put it in there, then I think it takes care of it.
I think you put it in there just so again.
Which one, put what in there? The tying it to Lisa, not in, Lisa or Weisentanner Inc. has the owner. Is that what you're saying? Or the lease?
Again, I'm going to defer to one of you or Jim in terms of the legalities. It's just, I was thinking, I don't know. I'm easy on which we do. And again, if nobody else thinks it's a big deal, I don't think it's a huge deal. Don't get me wrong. I was just going over the legal thing where I guess I was envisioning somehow the use switching or changing, and then does that get us in trouble in any way? But
I think if the use changed, they'd have to come back to us anyway. So I think it just all so for me, and then I'll ask everyone else, pull everyone else. For me personally, the referring to the site plan, I'm okay with eliminating the lease requirement, and I'm okay if it makes people feel more comfortable to tie the decision to Weisentanner Inc. or the current owner, however we want to do it, so that if that changes, they come back. I'm fine with that. But if people want more than that,
I'm fine with that.
So, okay. So removing condition A, condition B remains the same. And do we want to add do we want to make the outdoor turf a separate condition, or just add it onto the back of condition B? Anyone have any strong feeling on that? No. Okay. So we could add onto condition B and the hours of operation for the artificial turf is from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. to allow for setup. Remove condition C, that the windows and doors shall be closed while the building's in use, so remove that. Remove condition D. Modify condition D to remove the current language and insert instead the locus shall, what do we say? Locus shall be in substantially the same form as a site plan attached. And
Susan, I don't mean to be too big.
no, go for it.
Can we go back to the windows and doors shall be closed while the building is in use? I mean, is this primarily a COVID-driven thing where, or you've been operating for years with the windows and doors ostensibly closed?
Are there any windows to open, Lisa?
There are windows to open, but we never open them.
So
The only time we open windows and doors, I mean, not windows, we never open the windows. The only time we open doors is when people are exiting or entering the building. So during a class, sometimes people run around the building or run out in the parking lot, they'll come back in. It's just for the purpose of entrance and exit.
So why does this condition need to be modified or removed? Why wouldn't the condition stay the same?
We could limit it to the big barn doors. I think that was the concern with when it first opened, was that those big barn doors, if you drive by those would be open and then all the noise would be out in the neighborhood.
I think to Ed's point, if she doesn't have an issue with not opening the windows, why wouldn't we just leave it the way it was?
I don't understand it. Why are we asking for it?
I think,
no, go ahead, Lisa.
I just don't want to wind up in trouble if we open a side door, where the concern with when we originally made the statement, it was about the noise going out into the neighborhood with the barn doors being open. The concern with the doors was the noise traveling through the neighborhood.
So we could modify it to say that the barn doors facing the parking lot shall be closed while the building is in use.
And the windows.
Yeah, why not just keep, I feel most comfortable with this the same. You're not suggesting a alteration to your operation. So why do you need the condition to go away? I mean, if you open your windows to let people in and out and get some fresh air for a second, that's not the concern. The concern.
But she'd be in violation of her permit.
But I'm a rule follower, and that would stress me out.
Yeah, I think that this language is onerous, saying that her doors shall be closed while the building is in use. Like, I think if we can say
when the class is in place, because no offense, I mean, again, I have occasionally worked out, and if the music is pumping, and I don't want to hear it if I'm next door necessarily or across the street.
The music is never loud enough that we have to speak over the music. It's a matter of circulation. It's a matter of ability for people to come in and out of the building. We've never had noise complaints.
Yeah. Why don't we just modify it to include the barn doors and the windows being closed? That allows her to open the smaller doors, which it sounds like what she does. Does that?
That's fine.
I think that makes sense.
Fine.
Are you okay with that, Ed?
Yes.
Okay, so condition C modified to that the windows and barn doors shall be closed while the building is in use.
Yeah.
That is so poorly written, because why would you leave them open? That means they can be open when the building's not in use. That's poor draftsmanship. Whatever.
When classes are taken.
It should say, well, classes are in session.
That sounds a little more reasonable.
Right? I mean, that's what I meant, Ed. Just that this.
First of all, if you can never open your doors.
But that's ridiculous. She has to open the doors at some point.
I was not contemplating that. What I'm contemplating is that the windows are wide open, the music is pumping, and everybody has to listen to it if they don't want to outside, which again, I'm not saying that's what's going on, and but the next person might think that. So obviously the doors can be open to get.
But that's not what it said. I don't know. I'm a rule follower too, so I get it. All right. So so condition C, if it changes to that the windows and barn doors shall be closed while the classes are in session. That makes everybody happy?
Works for me.
Okay. Okay. And then do we need to do anything, Eleanor, about the loading zone no longer required and the open space requirement and parking and aisle width? Do those need to be included in the decision? You're on mute. Sorry. Right?
You are swapping out a new site plan. That's why I think it's important to make that a condition so that that's very clear that it would be like site plan review in a sense. You're approving new conditions upon the lot as shown thereon.
Okay. But we don't, so those new conditions take care of the open space loading zone and.
Correct.
That. Okay. Okay, so would someone want to make a motion with those conditions that we outlined, including the new site plan?
Lisa.
Yes, I will make that motion. You don't want to make a motion, Ed?
No, I'll
I
make
think
the
Ed
motion.
should make
I
it.
don't know if I had to recite all those.
I'm
I
not
can
gonna
read them.
recite
I
them
can
all.
read them again if we want. And I just want to clarify, we agree, did we land on 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. or just 8:30 to 11? I think it was 8 a.m. That's what I'm proposing. 11:30.
Fine with me.
Okay. So Ed, are you making that motion?
Sure.
Okay. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so Ed made the motion, Lisa seconded. I'll go through the roll call. Myself, aye. Lisa?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And Jim?
Aye.
Okay, so that
Thanks a
motion.
bunch, guys.
Madam Chair, if I may,
appreciate
and Rick, I won't be here to sort of follow through with this. It's going to be Leslie, but Rick, I assume you'll draft the decision as quickly as possible and is everybody who voted here in the next week to be able to sign this? Because it's time sensitive for her.
Yes.
Since it's
Yeah, summer's here.
Summer's here and she's got a 20-day appeal period, really 22, all things told. So I just want to make sure I'm leaving, but I want to make sure and Leslie's got a lot on her plate. So just want to make sure everyone's available to sign as soon as Rick gets that to Leslie to make it available to you.
Fine with me.
Thank you.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here too.
So Rick, send that to Leslie, okay?
Okay, thanks a bunch, guys.
Okay,
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
thank you. Okay,
Karen, good luck, Karen.
Yeah,
Yes, Karen.
Yeah.
Karen vote on
Thanks
it.
for your service.
all right, don't go anywhere yet, people. Okay, so that's it for our new business. And so we can move on to other business.
Madam Chair, can we break for 1 minute?
Can we
There's
break?
no-
Sure.
There's nothing
1
else.
minute?
I was just going to say goodbye to you and goodbye to
Oh.
Karen. But Lisa, you don't have to hang out. And
Okay, then I'll stick around. I want to hear the accolades.
well, I just wanted to say that, both Karen and Karen's been on the board since I started in 2009, I think it was when I started. And I just want to say thank you so much for everything all your time, all the years, and sad to see you to go on, but I also get it. You've given a lot of years to this board and a lot of good and solid commentary and educated me over my years on the board when I started out too. Just learning about how to be on this board and how
Okay, now I know you're lying.
I'm not lying. But I'll let everyone else say what they want to say too. I'm sure everyone.
Nobody has to say anything. Greatly appreciated. Enjoyed the camaraderie. The content of some of the meetings might have been, well, no comment on that. But hopefully you guys all hold the line. There's seems to be a lot of change on the horizon. I'm sure we've all experienced it so far, but I see a lot more coming. So hopefully this board holds a line.
We're gonna miss you, Kieran.
Yeah, we're gonna miss you, buddy.
Are you leaving? Yeah.
No, not
You
yet.
never know. You never know.
Leaving
Never
the
know,
board.
right?
You can't leave Nantucket. You can leave
Well,
the board, never
we'll see
leave
what
us.
happens, right?
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And Miss Eleanor, I can't believe that you are moving on. You have done so much for this board over the years, including up until this last packet and staff report. I saw you yesterday and you were working your tail off to get this done. And, you know, I really appreciate everything that you've done, not only for us as a board, but for the applicants too. You've gone above and beyond for all the attorneys, for the applicants, the builders, and you really take the time to make sure that all the applications are very thorough, and it really shows. So I really appreciate that. I'm sure everybody else has something to say
I
too.
know. Well, I second that completely. I'm a little nervous for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I alone appreciate you keeping the trains on time and everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss you yelling at me for something.
Eleanor, thank you for your service to the board, and I wish you the best of luck in your new job at the Land Bank.
Thank you. Thank you
Here,
very much.
here.
Thank you all.
Whoop into shape over there, will you?
I really appreciate your dogged tracking down of me and to find decisions and bringing them to me, and you're always there. Like I think I'm working late, and Eleanor is always at her desk when I'm leaving my office. So town is losing a good person.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve you all for these 7.5 years now, and I've learned a lot, and I intend to use it at my next endeavor.
Well, I look forward to seeing you at the Land Bank.
Good luck, Eleanor.
Good
Thank
luck,
you all.
Eleanor.
Good luck. All right, so we will reconvene in July.
I have a question for you, Susan. Have we, as a board, do we need to, or do we want to discuss replacement for Kiram and possibly others?
I don't think we're allowed to do that, Edward.
You can't, it's not noticed on this agenda.
I think you can have a conversation. I can have a conversation with Susan. So can you, one-on-one, maybe 2-on-1, or 3 people in the conversation, I should say.
Okay.
But not as a board.
Okay. I didn't realize that. And how does that process work if there are multiple people so we don't advertise that we, like other boards, that we are seeking applicants?
The selectmen do.
And I think it was already done. I think it was already out there, and there was a deadline to apply for the seat on the ZBA and some other boards. And I think it was the Friday before Memorial Day, maybe, was the deadline to apply.
Okay.
Eleanor, can I say that we had one member who was up for that applied?
Re-upping, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Jeff was up for, his term was up and he reapplied. So I think that the Board of Selectmen will reappoint him if they choose to do so in maybe next month or the month after.
I believe it's the 23rd of June is when they're doing the appointments.
Oh, they are. Okay. So then he should, if he's reappointed, he'll be back for the July meeting.
And you guys will have to re-elect your people, your various officers in either July or August.
And Jeff was originally an alternate.
One member shy?
Yeah, because Jeff's an alternate and Mark's an alternate and Jim's an alternate. One member would have to be raised to be on the full board, right?
Right, but that only leaves 2 alternates is what I'm getting at. So
I don't know, and I meant to ask you, Eleanor, because Erica said that the people, or maybe you said it, they apply for the position they want. So I wasn't aware of that. I thought maybe the Board of Selectmen appointed.
They do. They
And
do. So they'll
determine-
review the applicants or, candidates who've put their papers in for this available seat. And they will appoint I don't know how many there are. I know of one, but I don't know if there are others.
And then they determine whether the applicant is gets put on as a full member or an alternate.
I bet they've probably put their name in as a full member and they will become the full member, I would think. I'm not sure
Yeah,
about
that's a
that.
good question.
Yeah,
Susan.
that's-
I don't know.
That's what happened with me. So,
Yeah.
You
That's usually what
applied to
happens at
become a
the
full
HPC.
member.
Yeah.
yep.
That, which is fine. It's great. I just,
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. So,
Yeah.
But we're not told who the list is? They don't look for any feedback, I guess, from.
I don't think they look for, I mean, I think maybe, I don't know, maybe if there was like a long list of people, maybe they would, but I don't know.
People aren't clamoring to join.
I'm sure.
you would think that if there were more than one applicant, the
Selectmen would reach out. right?
selectmen
Yeah.
would talk to us, not ask us, but have a
I don't know.
conversation.
I guess we'll find out, right? They're
Yeah.
gonna talk about it on the 23rd, and if, we're available if they need to have any input from us, but I don't know that that's the case.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
Yeah.
But
I don't know, were you guys asked for input when I joined? Probably not.
Well, we knew that we had a winner. And the only thing you had to do was write a letter applying for the job.
so I guess we will find out after the 23rd.
Yeah.
I would say this in response to Edward's question. There's clearly nothing wrong with Edward having a conversation, or any other board member having a conversation with somebody that they think would be a good member, good addition to the board, and suggesting that they apply for the position.
Definitely not. I just wondered if that had, I missed the deadline or blah, blah, blah. So it sounds like
Eleanor, are they interviewing for your position, or they've not even posted it? Or is
Not
there
posted.
a transition plan besides?
As far as I know, Leslie's going to do it until she can train someone else to do it.
It's gonna come from within, probably.
Yes, I think so.
Oh,
okay.
we'll see what happens. Okay, so we can move to adjourn. And Eleanor, have a great weekend before your new duties start on Monday.
Thank you. My daughter's graduating from high school.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Where will your new office be if I want to come visit?
Land Bank, between Dune and the Chanticleer.
Up
Languedoc.
Languedoc.
Yeah, Chanticleer, Languedoc. Yeah.
A nice spot back there.
Yeah.
Okay, for adjournment, I need to do roll call for that.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so myself, Lisa.
Well, do I have to make
sorry.
a motion? I'll make
Yeah,
a
make a
motion to
motion.
adjourn.
Karen, you want to make your last motion?
Oh, yeah.
What do you
Oh,
think?
yeah. I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. So Lisa,
Aye.
Ed,
Hi.
Michael,
Hi.
Karen,
Aye.
and Jim.
Aye.
Okay, well, meeting's adjourned, and see y'all in July, except for
Go in
Karen.
peace.
Enjoy
I
your
know
July.
we're
That's a lot.
adjourned, but are we meeting in person in July?
Yes,
Yes.
unless some setback with COVID. Yes, you will.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right, guys.
All right,
Y'all.
Aye.
okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye. I gotta figure out how to get out of here.